Hey, welcome to the Medium channel where we bring you the spirituality behind the message. And for tonight, we're going to talk about the full moon, the 5 things that you need to know according to spirit, 5 exercises to do. And then we're going to finish up with a little divination. So I have some angel cards here. So if you're watching this as a video, hang in there for just another minute or two because I want to give the live people a chance to get their notifications and to get on. So let me say a few quick hellos and my fellow inmates are here. Yay. So hi, Claire, Susan, and Susan again, and Moon Bear, and Angela, and Doreen of the Children's School of Yoga, and Michael is in, and so far that's at least that's all who's commenting so far. I'm sure there's other people that are in. So, anyways, I hope you guys like autumn, being that it's been pretty darn chilly in these parts. Ongoing prayers to Florida from the people that are having to deal with the aftermath of Ian, as well as everybody else in the world that's going through a lot during these earth changes times. For people like myself who are relatively fortunate, we can help by holding space if we're not directly like volunteering or whatever. So, sending prayers and stuff like that. So it's all good. And hello, Nisha, is it? Hi, welcome. And hi, Lisa, if I missed you, and Claire, or whoever I don't know. I look all red. I have my overhead light on. It's a pink light, and it makes me look sunburned. And I've not been out in the sun. But anyway, maybe I'll get a moonburn from the full moon. It is in Aries. It's in a fire sign. So what I have here, I have everything written down. So I'll refer to my notes a lot. I basically ask spirit. I get into my space. I do some channeling, but then I check off the astrology, and usually it agrees, very much. So I want to just talk briefly about the aspects surrounding this full moon and the specifics, then go into the 5 things that I or spirit working through me feels like we need to know, as a community, a global community, the Medium channel community, YouTube community, whatever. We're in this together. So we're here to support one another, and we're here to grow and evolve in the process. So the full moon is happening on the 9th. It's at 4:55 p.m. So what does that mean? You have to go pretty far east for it to be on 10:10. The people that are watching from like Australia, New Zealand, or areas like that, I do believe that, yeah, absolutely, that for you the full moon is 10:10. For the rest of us, it's 10:09, 4:55 p.m. here on Eastern Daylight Time, and Pluto is I'm going to talk about Pluto. That's because I wrote everything crazy. The full moon itself. Let's start with the moon, then we can talk about Pluto. Okay, the full moon is at 16 degrees Aries, not 17 degrees. I've got to remind myself to make a little note in last week's tarot time when I got the wrong degrees. That makes a big difference. The full moon is actually 16 degrees Aries. That's the same 16 that is key 16 in tarot, which is the Tower card, and what is called the Shattered Citadel in Chaldean numerology. So I'll explain a little bit more about what that means and why that's relevant. So a few little astrological notes. We can talk about Pluto now. Pluto stations right at the same time at 26 degrees Capricorn. Mars at 22 degrees Gemini is squaring Neptune at 23 degrees Pisces. And the full moon opposes Venus, not a direct opposition, but close enough. And also worth noting is that this full moon conjuncts Chiron, the asteroid Chiron, the wounded healer that's in retrograde motion right now. And again, we'll apply these with the different points. So, 16 degrees Aries full moon. Mars rules the sign Aries. So we want to pay attention to what Mars is doing, because that is a very key planet. And one of the things that's going on with that, with it's squaring Neptune at this time. So that's very significant. So that's going to help to tear down a lot of the facades and the walls. And the full moon's also sextiling Saturn. So that's another aspect that the full moon, that's going to, obviously opposing the sun, a few other goodies, sun and trine Saturn, and the sun almost trined Mars. It's a close, it's not quite a trine, but it's close. And then there's an opposition of Pluto and Mercury, and there's a weak trine between Saturn and Mars. There's a few other things, but here are the 5 things to know. And I think I need a lot of water today. I've been doing readings the last 4 hours, so my mouth is a little dry. Not dry, but maybe a little bit sore from talking so much. But when did that ever stop me, right? Okay, so point number 1 is do not let your emotions rule you. Full moons are very powerful. They're very emotional in and of itself. But add to that, it's at 16 degrees of Aries. Now, Aries is a very fiery, reactive sign. And 16 degrees, 16 reduces to 7. So that's Neptune rule. 7 is very, very emotional. And then Mars is squaring Neptune. So the ruling planet of the sign that the moon is full in, so the full moon amplifies the energies of that sign, is squaring. So it's conflicting the energies of Neptune. So, again, we can have very strong emotional reactions to things. The idea is we need to learn to be present in our emotions, present in the moment rather than reactive. So the idea is this is the time to really begin to train ourselves. Well, I shouldn't say beginning to accelerate in that process, and and just practice feeling what you're feeling, knowing that your emotions may be a little bit stronger off the cuff, but to the best of your ability, don't get ruled by your emotions. There's going to be significant emotional ups and downs that come up in this energy. So that's number 1, highly emotional. Don't let the emotions rule you. So thing number 2 to know about this full moon is it's really, really good for manifestation. And it's especially a good time now to start to take action. Like last full moon, all of last month, we were talking about it being not an action time, but more of a planning time. Well, Mercury has recently gone into its recent station. So it's officially direct, although we're not, but come Sunday when the full moon is, Mercury will be back in forward motion. Pluto stations to go direct literally the day after, almost like literally hours after the full moon. So Mars is very, very, very active in this time. All full moons are good for manifestation, but this is the time to start to put your plans into action. So definitely do your manifestation work around this full moon. Like I said, naturally, full moons are good for that, but you have an extra boost from the planetary influences and the energy that it creates to bring your manifestation skills to a higher level. So this is the time to do that. Remember, manifestation is an energetic process. We want to be able to get so present that we start to vibrate on the quantum level, and then we want to express gratitude for the present moment, and then visualize whatever it is that you want to create in your life as if it is the present moment, and make that more real in your mind, and do that through the power of repetition. That's how you manifest. So if you use tools like candles, or you do like spell work, or whatever that you do for your manifestation work, having these underlying principles with you and working with the tide. So the tide is really coming in for us in order to manifest our dreams, and then doing it at that timing. So Sunday's a good day for that. Saturday maybe not as much, but Sunday into Monday is really good for that. So that's number 2. Number 3 is the facade tears down. Our society has a lot of facades. Neptune is really, really active. It's been active for a while. It's going to kick into an even higher gear. Neptune is about illusions and delusions, as well as creativity, psychism, higher mind, sensitivity, emotions, and all that good stuff. Remember, Neptune's the lord of the underworld. Water is emotions. So where are we? The facades tear down. Mars square Saturn. It's a weak square, but it's still a square. Saturn is the structures, Mars is energy. Remember, Mars gets an extra kick and the Aries full moon, because that's the Aries rulership. So that's part of the energetic or astrological reason. Also, the moon's going to sextile Saturn, so that's actually a beneficial. Um, and then Mars and Neptune square, and that's the that's the big one. And again, that's going to help to tear down some of the the deceptions in the news, through the government, the media, the big corporations. Yeah, we're going to start to get a sense of what's going on, but in your individual lives, also in your family lives, or things from yourself, even, that these illusions, these facades can come down, like our internal facades, things that are blocking our relationships, all that stuff. So what we really need to do is be present and be aware and not buy into the illusions. When we're not thinking, then we can get more intuitive information about things. So expect, things on both a personal as well as a global level, for the lies to become more exposed, with more things to bubble to the surface. Now, the energy this full moon is going to carry into the next new moon. So what I'm saying is probably not going to happen right on Sunday, but it's going to be a trend. And that's what it is, a trend. If you want to get more personal information, see how the full moon affects your personal astrological chart as well as your numerology chart. And then you can translate this into how these general effects are going to specifically influence your life and the time right now. So that's basically that. So number 4 is unprocessed wounds rise to the surface. And this is a big facet of this full moon. The primary reason is Chiron, the wounded healer, is conjuncting the moon. I think it's about it's 14 degrees of Aries, so it's about 2 degrees off, but that's still a conjunction. Also, with Pluto stationing and the moon opposing Venus. I don't know if I mentioned that, but the full moon opposes Venus. It also opposes the sun, but every full moon opposes the sun. Um, all these things are allowing for that. Again, this taps into the emotions and the intuition big time. So this is going to allow things that you haven't resolved yet to start to rise to the surface. What does that mean? You may get unexplained anxiety or depression or physical symptoms, but you get the opportunity to look at things and to see things from a fresh perspective. The idea is to get present, not in judgment, but rather connecting with your higher self, with your spiritual self, and see through the eyes of your spirit. That's how you see the truth. That's how the facades will come down, and to do your shadow work, to do this work. And I have some good videos on that also, by the way, as well as all these other things. Okay, so number 5, division could lead to civil war, unrest, all that kind of good stuff. Now, Mars, which is highlighted again, Mars is amplified, is in Gemini, the sign of duality. It's slow right now. It's going to start its retrograde on October the 30th. It's in Gemini for 7 months, so it's got a good long time to really, really shake things up. I mean, the average, I think, is about two to 2.5 months per sign. So it's in Gemini for 7 months. That's because it's going retrograde and forward again. So I wrote a few things down. Moon in Aries, Mars in Gemini station. That's about duality. You may be more prone to injuries under this influence because of that Aries. So, be aware of that also. Conflicts between honoring yourself and others come up. So you must honor yourself first and foremost. And the other thing is, look for more forced division in societies. That's been happening for a while. It's likely to crest. And the other thing that I didn't write down that I should have, so we'll call this 5B maybe, is that we may start to see some civil war energy coming up in the United States. I think we're already seeing it, or civil unrest. And, the elections are coming up. This full moon is going to affect the period leading up to that. Because what's going to happen is we're going to come into a new moon, which is an eclipse. Also, it's a solar eclipse. So that's going to start a whole other, that'll be an interesting live feed also. And then election day actually happens on the next full moon, and it's lunar eclipse, and Mars is retrograde. So good luck. If we thought the 2020s were messy, I have a feeling we ain't seen nothing yet. So be ready, be prepared for the possibility that it's not inconceivable that violence may find its way into your neighborhood. We may see more demonstrations of that. Now, we're not here to scare anybody. There's no fear or doom and gloom, but we don't sugarcoat it either, because that wouldn't be helpful as well. It's like, oh yes, love and light, everything is perfect. Oh yes, there's a war, there's a virus. Oh, it's all good. That's what does Sharita call that? Hopium. So we want to be balanced. We want to stay positive, because this is a positive time, even though there's a lot of negative and challenging things that are happening. If anything, this full moon is going to catalyze, and it's going to catapult us into the heart of the changes, which I feel is going to be November through around January, February, maybe into March. And incidentally, every full moon between this Sunday and March is going to happen at 16 degrees of its respective sign. Again, Neptune ruled. It's good for intuition. So these full moons are very psychic in nature. All full moons are, but this one even more so. But that 16 is that tower. It's like this is the time where the facade has to come down so that we can rebuild. We can build stronger roots of integrity, of brother and sisterhood, cooperation, of unity, of spiritual growth. These outworn facades have to come down, because they're based on greed, control, power. So that's what's happening, and those are the five things I want to say. So I want to talk a little bit about things that you can start to do now. So hi, people that have jumped on a little bit late. Nisha Jones, I think we said hi. Hi, Maria, and Queen of Wands, welcome. So one thing, this full moon is going to be a really good time to start an exercise program, whether that's yoga or running or dancing or whatever it is. That Mars highlighted energy, this full moon, Mars is action, Mars is energy. So for all of those that have been procrastinating starting their exercise routine, well, Mercury's starting to move again. We had this beautiful, powerful Mars moon energy coming in. You're going to get a little bit of a nudge from the universe, a boost, to get past that inertia of inactivity, to start your exercise program. And we need that. We need to move. Human bodies are meant to be active, not meant to sit in front of a computer all day. If you do that, you need that balance of getting your exercise for a lot of reasons. And we'll only talk right now about mental health and emotional health, but obviously physical health is at play. So the thing is, when we are scared, when we feel threatened, we secrete these hormones that give us superhuman strength in the moment, but it wears on our energy. And if we're not exercising, we have no way of moving, so it stagnates in the body, and it sets the seeds for disease. So if you're not doing regular exercise, please use this energy, use this boost to start that. So that's number one. Number two, practice presence, practice non-reactivity. There's something called the 5-second rule. Yeah, that is, when something gets your go, whether it gets you scared, angry, or upset. I mean, my tendency, and probably yours also, is want to lash right back at the person. But that's the hormone speaking. That's not my heart or my spirit speaking. That's like what are emotion? Well, they're energy, emotion, but that energy, the way we experience that energy, emotion, is through hormones in the body. Anger, I think, has 8 different hormones. I'll have to check back with Joe Dispenza, the endocrinologist, chiropractor / quantum physicist, law of attraction expert, or whatever you want to say. But anyway, so the 5 second rule is simply this: when you feel something and you want to react, you do a little bit of long, deep breathing instead for at least 5 seconds, and just allow things to sink in, and then you can respond from your heart rather than from your reaction. Because what are negative emotions? They're survival instinct emotions, whether it's anger, whether it's jealousy, whether it's fear, hate. All that stuff is born out of our very complicated human survival instinct. And if we don't check that, we're going to respond in that manner, in a survival manner. You feel this because you feel some level of attack. What are you going to do? Attack right back. Sometimes that's the right course of action. Sometimes it's not. But if you're not in your center, in your power, you're just going to react no matter what. So remember the 5 second rule. Number 3, and this is a shadow integration exercise that I do, that I actually invented, or I shouldn't say invented. It came to me. Anything that came to me that I think is original, rest assured somebody else grabbed the same idea from the ethers and is doing the same thing. Um, kind of remind me of an interview with John Lennon one time where they're talking about some song that he wrote. And he was talking about writing music and how the ideas are just in the air and the ethers for anyone to pick up. And he was just saying, and I had this song just on the tip of my tongue. And darn it, Paul Simon beat me to it, or something like that. So in any event, back to point 3. Oh, right. Now I remember why I said this, because this was a download, a channel exercise. And what you do is you take a candle, you gaze right in the center of it. This is on one of my videos on 5 shadow work integration exercises. So you can get more detail if you watch the video. I'll pin it to the comments when this becomes a video. So you gaze right at the center. You always get relaxed, always get present anytime you meditate. Gaze right in that center, see the glow, feel the glow. And then when you feel present and connected, what you do is you step into the fire. So in your mind, you're in the fire and you feel the flames around you. And what these flames do is they separate you from the outside world. They give you energetic insulation or separation. As spiritual people, and me included, we're always talking about unity. We're talking about community. We're one heart. We're one, but we're also separate too. We're in separate bodies, and we're distinctly individual parts of a collective whole. And sometimes you just need to step out of that and be more in your own frame, in your own power, especially if you're very sensitive, very empathic, and you're feeling what's going on in the world. Like I was feeling the hurricane days before it happened, which is how I was able to zero in on Fort Myers before the National Hurricane Center was able to do that. And 2 to 3 days before, I might add, because I was feeling it. And so sometimes, we want to feel, this isn't about like dulling your senses or anything. If anything, you want to make them sharper, but sometimes you need that balance. We're in the Libra season. We need that yin and yang. We need that balance. So you go into that and just be, in your own frame and see the flame, which is an active kinetic energy. You allow you to separate from all that's going on out there in the collective. So that's number 3. Number 4 is an exercise that I call the golden flame. I'm saying I call it because many people have used that term for meditation. And again, this is another one of those spiritual downloads, and it's part of my Power Attunements program. And the way that you do this is when you're feeling any kind of negative emotions, especially because, like I was saying, like a lot of stuff is going to come up. What was that point? 4, unprocessed wounds rise to the surface. When things rise out of the subconscious to the conscious, we often register that as feelings of anxiety or other emotions like that. So when that starts to happen and you feel this, and I did not know this at the time because I did all this work in 2012 and published the program in 2013. But apparently this is NLP, and I didn't know this at the time. But what you do is, neuro-linguistic programming. That's what NLP means. Is you if you're feeling stuff, or if something surfaces, or you're having like repetitive patterns or problems or whatever, what you do is you get really relaxed and sit with that for a second. So if I'm feeling like a lot of anxiety and I don't know why, instead of trying to avoid the feelings, which we're so wired to try to avoid discomfort, but the problem is the ascension, you have to be okay with discomfort in order to grow. um, but that's another point for another live stream, I suppose. But but you want to feel that, but you want to only feel to the point where you can capture the energy. So if I'm feeling like this sort of doom and gloom feeling, I don't know where it's coming from. I'll relax, I'll sit with it, and I'll let myself feeling. Once I capture the energy without thinking about, and this is the key, you have to be present when you're what's the motto I've been using lately? When you're thinking, you're not connecting. When you're connecting, you're not thinking. So you don't want to be thinking, you want to be experiencing. And as soon as that happens in your mind, give that uncomfortable feeling a shape. Doesn't have to make sense. Then give it a color. And instead of some negative emotion or whatever it is that you're working on clearing, you now have a colored shape, and you can feel that energy emanating from the shape. Then the next thing is feel a crystalline golden fire from your solar plexus, your throat, in your heart center, and thank this shape, thank the energy, thanks for teaching, and love it and embrace it. That's why shadow integration. Yeah, we want to integrate. We don't want to further fragment. That's what is being done to us. It's fragmenting our soul, which is why we feel so powerless sometimes. We want to reintegrate these experiences. So once you have that, you'll give it love and gratitude, and then place it in the flame and watch it burn and see what happens. And visualize gray, brown, or black smoke. That will be the negative aspects leaving you and going up, into the heavens. And see how that shape burns. It may burn quickly, it may burn slowly, it may melt or whatever. But that is a way that you can start to process things, and you can start to clear these emotions and these feelings. So work with the golden flame. That's another good shadow integration exercise. And then the fifth one is practice your channeling and automatic writing. We've got a very psychic full moon. It's the month of October. The veils are naturally thin anyway as we approach the Halloween or Samhain season, or the El Dia de los Muertos season, or I think it's El Dia de los Muertos. My Spanish isn't that good, obviously. So practice some channeling or mediumship or automatic writing, or do psychic development exercises or stuff like that. So these are the five things. I mean, there's obviously other things that are important, but these are the five things that came through. So I wanted to finish up by getting a couple of spirit messages also, and I'm going to do that through divination through my two angel decks that I use. I have a third one here, but I don't like that one so much. Um, let me see if I can move these wires from my microphone so I can actually pull cards. So again, so now I have to not think so I can connect. So give me a second to not think. Okay, I got the card. So this is interesting because this card will speak a little bit on duality also. This is Doreen Virtue's Messages from the Angels. So this is called Grace and Antoinette. And the idea is to help heal the situation, see the other person's point of view with compassion. So I think that's another exercise that Spirit's giving us. If there's a conflict um, with others, try to step back and be in your presence and your power, and then see if you can kind of intuit the other person's point of view. You don't have to agree with it or anything like that, but practice seeing the other person's point of view. It's a very useful exercise, and this you could call this exercise number 6. Is learning how to get so present that you observe. So when you get a reaction and you're doing the 5-second rule, part of that is observing your feelings. So if I get a rude comment or whatever, and my first fear-based, knee-jerk, survival, ego-driven reaction, I want to strangle the person. what I want to do is I want to observe that urge rather than be that urge. And then I want to step back, count to 5, and then respond from my heart. Maybe my heart says, just leave it alone, don't respond, and I'll follow that also. So the idea is really learning how to understand that other people are going through a lot of crap, and sometimes people give us a hard time and we get angry and we forget that. So I think spirit's reminding us, always see the other person's point of view with compassion. You don't have to agree with them. If they're doing something wrong to you, still you can call them out or question that. But the idea is to approach it with compassion, not with anger, not from the ego, but from the heart. And I wanted to pull another card too from the angel therapy card. So yes, angels, give us some therapy. We need it. It's a tough world out there, but it's a beautiful world. But we need some angel therapy right now. I like the back of these cards also. They remind me of Reiki and energy healing. So here we go. This is the card. And this is clear yourself. So that was the message here. So I'll bring this a little closer so you can see. In fact, I'll bring them both a little closer so you can actually see what's happening with the imagery. So the little caption says, ask the angel to release any toxic energy that you may have absorbed. So that kind of goes along the lines with what I was saying about your shadow work and about anything, well, not anything, but some things that are unresolved, like suppressed wounds coming to the surface. This can, based on this card, this can include energies from other people you may have absorbed, or energies from the media, or whatever it is. And I feel like they're saying, as you do this work, also engage the angels. That's going to help you. So anyhow, that is what I have for you this evening. Now on Sunday, well, at 11 we do tarot time again. At 7 we're going to do our full moon channeling with the master teachers and the archangels. So if you want a little bit of an energetic upgrade during this next full moon, that's going to be 7 o'clock on Sunday. So that's going to be really within 2 hours of the exact moment of the full moon. So please come and join us, and let me know if you do, what download you get, or if you feel the energy moving through you as we do the transmission, or what happens later on. But these are very powerful, and according to the feedback I've been getting, they've been getting more powerful lately. So that's going to be Sunday at 11. Work with the master teachers, work with the angels. Often they help bring us these light codes to help us to awaken our dormant DNA, like our dormant human potential that people now think are supernatural abilities, but they're very natural. It's just that we haven't awakened to them yet. So anyway, thanks everybody, and my pleasure, Susan. Thank you for the acknowledgement and the kudos. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you all. I love you. So let's keep working together. Let's keep building this community. Even if we don't build the community, well, let's still keep working together as a small community. But the idea here, me and people like me, is we're here to build community, build awareness, and connect with other communities. And that's how we build also, because two small communities can become a larger community. And then sooner or later, it can become a world community. And that's the goal. So we are a world community. Thank you again. I love you. Going to end now, I promise.